So let's start from where we left in the last week. Just let me open the slides. Okay, so I hope that they are visible to you. Can you see the slides? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Jaber. Okay, so if you remember that we were discussing about data cubes, and the last topic was about the confidence interval, and a confidence interval is anything which looks something like this, as we had seen in the example, that something like this, okay, which has a plus minus sign, and it's basically a deviation or the error from the mean. Now x bar is the mean and plus minus is the deviation. So sigma is the deviation. TC is the constant of the deviation. So S and L are algebraic, thus one can locate the cells efficiently at more general cuboids. So in data mining you can have the estimate by using the measure of confidence. So you can also boost the confidence by some query expansion method, which means that you can rewrite your query and in the manner that it is expanded. Okay. So if we look at this example that we covered, and just let me show you the example. Yes, this example. So you can see that the college student of 19 years, we can expand it. It contains only, if you see over here, so it contains only 2 boys. Okay, sorry, where we were. Okay, so the query cell, a 19-year-old college student, contains only 2 samples. So the confidence interval is very large, which means that we have low confidence. Why? Because the sample size is very small, only 2 boys are there, and we also have high standard deviation within the samples with different samples. So the small sample sizes, they can occur at relatively low dimensional selections. So we can have 2 options now. Either we collect more data, which in some cases might be a little expensive, or we use the data and in some cases it might not be feasible at all. Okay, for example, maybe you have collected the data for 4 years ago of the students, and now that those students are no more there in the college and the universities. So now it's not possible for you to recollect the data. So another thing is that you use the data in other cells, maybe, but we have to be careful with that. So we'll follow with the other method, that we will use the data in another cell. Okay, so intra-cuboid expansion, we can have some intra-cuboid expansion where we combine other cells' data into our own to boost the confidence. So if you share semantic and cube similarity, and you use only if it is necessary, and also bigger sample size will decrease the confidence interval as well at some stage, because they do not belong to your data class or cuboid. So maybe they will have more deviation if the sample size is big. So cell segment similarity is another method. We can have some dimensions which are clear, for example age, and some directions which are fuzzy. Fuzzy means that they are not clear, they are not precise. For example, occupation. So we need some knowledge of the domain in order to understand these things. And also cell value similarity can also be there, and we have to know how to determine if 2 cell samples come from the same population. maybe the values in the cells, they are from some different populations. So two sample t-test can be used for confidence interval. So now you can see that we can expand the query to include 18 and 20 years old. Okay, there could be another option as well over here, that instead of expanding it vertically, like we have done here, we have included the 18 and 20 and the 19 years old data set. So we can also expand it horizontally. This could be another method, which means that we can include high school and graduate. But in this case, the high school and graduate, the data is very crisp. It is not what you say. Sorry, where the yes. So data is in this case, as we go across the rows, the data is very clear. Okay, but when we talk about the age, this type of data is fuzzy. It's not very clear. So for this type, we can expand along the vertical axis or along the column. Excuse me. So if a query dimension is not correlated with the cube value, but is causing some small sample size by drilling down too much, so we can remove the dimension in that case. That is, we generalize to include the steric, and we move to a more general cuboid. And also we can use two sample t-test to determine the similarity between two cells across the cuboids. And we can also use a different method, which will be shown later. Okay, so now the last topic for this week is about multi-dimensional data analysis in cube space. So we know that data cube, it greatly increases the bandwidth of the analysis, and there are many ways in which we can interact OLAP style analysis and data mining. So the first one is that we can use the cube space to define the data space for mining, or we can use the OLAP queries to generate the features and targets for mining, and like we do in multi-feature cube. And we can also use data mining models as building blocks in a multi-dimensional or multi-step mining process. For example, when we predict the values of the cube. Okay, so we can also use data cube computation techniques to speed up the repeated model construction. And in this we also use the cube space data mining, which may require building a model for each candidate data space. And we can also share the computation across different models, across model construction for different candidates, which may lead to some efficient mining. Okay, so we have an example of complex aggregation at multiple granularities, and we understand what is multi-feature cube. A multi-feature cube was devised by Rose et al. In 1998. And can anyone tell me what does this mean, et al? This word et al means. Can you tell me what is the meaning of et al? What does et al stand for? Yes, who will answer this question? Are you present in the class, or everyone is sleepy? Okay, when we write something like we write Rose et al, do you know what is the meaning of this et al? As for example in Rose et al. So what is the meaning of et al? Can you tell me? Yes, is my voice clear? Yes, so can you tell me what is the meaning of et al. For example, there's a word. Okay, okay, and other. Yes, yes, Martin, you're right. It means and the rest of all. It's a French word. It means and the rest of all. So it was multi-feature cubes. It was presented by Rose and the group of researchers who were working there in 1998. And these are they computed some complex queries which involve multiple dependent aggregates and multiple granularities. So we can take an example like, for example, when we group by all suspect subsets of items, region, month, and find the maximum price in 2010 for each group and the total sales among all maximum price tuples. For example, when we do select item, region, month, maximum price, and sum, and on regional sales from the purchases table, where year is defined as 2010, so we can cube by item, region, and month such that the regional price is equal to maximum price. So the retail price is the maximum price. So we continue the last example among the maximum price tuples, and we find the minimum and maximum shelf life and find the fraction of the total sales due to tuple that have minimum shelf life within the set of the maximum price. So discovery-driven exploration of the data cubes can be of two types. First of all, we can explore the data cubes in two types. We can have it hypothesis-driven, which explore by user and a huge search space is there, so it is mostly very difficult. Then we can also use the discovery-driven, which where we effectively navigate a large through a large OLAP data cubes, and we pre-compute the measures indicating the exceptions and guide user in the data analysis at all levels of the aggregation. So exception could be significantly different from the value anticipated, and it is based on statistical model. And visual cues such as background color are used to reflect the degree of the exception of the cell. Okay, so you can go through this example where you can see that there are some exceptions and how they are computing them. Okay, so this concludes the material of this week. So let's summarize it. We discussed about the data cube computation and some preliminary concepts of data cube computation. And then we discussed about some methods for data cube computation, which included multi-way array aggregation and bottom-up computation, and we also discussed about high-dimensional OLAP with shell fragments. Then we looked into the processing of advanced queries by exploring the data cube technology, in which we studied about the sampling of the cubes and ranking of the cubes. And then we also discussed about multidimensional data analysis in cube space, for example, discovery-driven exploration of data cubes, multi-feature cubes, and prediction cubes. Okay, so that's it for this week. So if you go through the Blackboard, you will see that in the modified slides I have placed the slides for this week. So what you can do is to go through them and revise them and see if you have any questions for this week. Okay, so are you getting my point? Okay, so just make sure that you have received the slides, the modified slides which are on the left side of your Blackboard. So please download it, and you can go through these and see if you have any questions regarding the content for this week.